So I like some of the changes that Doug Ford is making in Ontario, including allowing the sale of alcohol in convenience stores, box stores, and grocery stores because, we do not need this nanny state in Canada because currently, you have to go to the LC and buy it at these, there's like one LC in your city or a couple, so you got to drive all the way there, walk all the way there. And then get your alcohol, and then it closes early, so then you're like, fuck, you're not able to get anything, and it just makes it very inconvenient. So this should buy him some points with generally everybody, right? Like, this is a smart move for him to do politically. Like, making it easier to buy alcohol is it's just a win-win on most people's books, right? Like, people are gonna fear monger, like, oh, it's gonna increase the rates of deaths and car crashes and this and that. But it's like, no, that's probably not gonna happen. Canadians already drink at higher proportions than I'm pretty sure Americans do. So if they're allowed to buy alcohol in stores in America and all this shit, and they drink less than us, then it kind of leads you to believe that maybe it has something to do with our culture or other factors as to why we are drinking more or why other cultures drink more, right? So this is not a big deal. It's just going to make things more convenient for people. And if anything, the progressives should like it because now there's going to be less pollution. You're not going to have to travel as far to get alcohol. You can just walk down the street to the corner store at your 7-Eleven and buy some booze instead of taking your car across, and driving 10, 20 blocks to go to the LC to pick up some shit, and by the time you get there it closes or something because it's like 10 o'clock. And because these are government employees, so they all work really early. They can get off early. You don't have to work very fucking late. And whereas it at a convenience store and shit, you can get it at all hours of the night. And I guess people are like, oh, this is bad. But it's like, since when do liberals, when do these people become the moral police? Like, well, you shouldn't be drinking at this time of night. You shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, fuck off, man. It's like, it's not a big deal. It's not going to make, crime or anything go up. It's just going to be, if anything, good for businesses because now they have another product that they can sell within their store to, attract people to their, convenience store or whatever. Maybe it'll attract, I don't know, some shadier people, but it's like, those people are going to be around regardless anyways. They're going to come into your 7-Eleven regardless anyways. So it like I said, it's just going to make it more convenient for people. And there's also the sex ed curriculum that he is removing, and he's just going back to the old one. And people are fear mongering about this. There's a hashtag going around. It's like, share the things that you've experienced in sex ed before the new one. And they're like, oh, in the old one I didn't learn about consent and cyberbullying and trans and anal sex. All this ridiculous shit. It's like, your parents should be teaching you about consent. Your parents should be teaching you about a lot of this stuff. When I was in school and they taught us about sex ed, it was very basic stuff. It was like, this is a penis, this is a vagina, they come in all different sizes, and that's about it. They didn't go that much into detail, and they shouldn't go that much into detail. But these people, they want them to pretty much indoctrinate kids into like loving trans people, saying that no, it's not an illness, it's normal, it's all this shit. Where it's not. It's like, no, this is not normal. These people, they have a mental illness, and teaching kids that it's just okay and all this shit, it's not going to do these people any good. If there was a bunch of schizophrenics in your class and then you just tell everybody, oh, tell them, no, you're fine, don't worry about it. You don't need to take medication, you don't have to do any of this, you don't have to seek help. Like, and all the other kids said, oh, you're fine, you're great, you're great. That kid's not gonna get better. We all understand that. It's the same thing with trans people. Like, they have like gender dysphoria, they have a mental illness. So, you know changing our curriculum to pander to these people is not going to help them. you know uh, you know Propagandizing our young to teach them about all these things that they really don't need to learn about. A lot of this consent shit that they're learning is just another way to shame boys, to tell them you're bad and you're naturally evil and you need to be taught not to do these bad things because you're just like inherently evil. So we got to teach you people not to do this. Whereas it's like the rape and all these types of crimes have been going down steadily in Western countries for years and years and years. And now all of a sudden we need to take these drastic measures to teach people not to fucking rape. It's like, are you kidding me? If things have already been going down, then clearly what we've been doing already has worked and is working. So all this shit is completely unnecessary. The government should not be teaching your kids about sex and all this shit. You should be learning it from your parents. They should be focused on basic learning and shit. And then he also removed this other thing, which it's like something math. I had found it earlier. What was it? Traditional math. No, he removed discovery math, right? And discovery math turns traditional math on its head. Frequently begins by introducing a novel problem to students and works its way back to discovering a method of solving the problem. The goal is to ground mathematical procedures and algorithms firmly in their applications, and to challenge students to think critically how they might go about solving the problem right from the beginning, generally associated with the Chicago math movement and related everyday math textbooks. See, Chicago math, right away, that sets off some red flags. Grade 1 to 6, discovery math spends less classroom time mastering established algorithms and more time getting students invested in thinking critically about novel mathematical problems and concepts. In this sense, discovery math aims to establish conceptual and applied understanding before procedural understanding. See, that right away, it seems like a bad idea to me, because it's like, a lot of these kids, they're never going to use math to begin with, right? So we're not going to make all these kids math geniuses, okay? You're only going to be a math genius if you have the sufficient brain capability to be a math genius, right? So a lot of this stuff is kind of pointless, trying to teach these kids to learn the conceptual, and they need to learn basic math in school. Basic math that is going to help you in everyday life. Addition, subtraction, some multiplication, some division, and it really doesn't need to be too complex for most people, because most people do not require that complex of math. So to get all these kids into like, we got to understand the concepts and worry less about the algorithms and learning how to actually do it. We'll teach you about this, and you'll kind of conceive and try to come up with your own ways of doing it. It's like, no, I guess there could be some value in that, right? Maybe, but that would probably be better with people who are already trained and know a lot about math to think that way, because it's like, it's not going to be some 6 year old kid who's going to come up with a new mathematical equation that's going to, like, not likely. He's not going to come up with a new way to do it. He might, but I think there's less of a chance of that. It's probably better to teach them the basics right off the bat, and instead of trying to change this whole shit. Like, I don't know, were the grades going down already? Is that why they implemented this, to try to like change it or something, so they don't have to actually address the diminishing scores or something? I don't know, but this just seems like some bogus bullshit that the school administration bought into, and it's probably not going to help these kids really in life anyways. But in the end of the day, most government schools don't, right? Like, what are you really qualified for after coming out of most government schools nowadays? After 12 years of education, you're nothing. You're qualified for absolutely nothing. You make like, you can make like a minimum wage job essentially, or if not that, you have some connections, or you go and you work labor jobs, right? Jobs that put your physical body at risk, and that are hard, backbreaking, working out in the sun, in the cold, in winter, when it's freezing outside, windy, raining. You're gonna have to put your body through that. That's all you're good for after 12 years of this education. So, a lot of it seems to be pretty much unnecessary, what they teach us anyways. So I don't know, maybe doing this won't even make a difference regardless, because like I said, like, we're not good for anything out of these government schools anyways. So this is why we say we need private education, because if you were actually paying for stuff yourself, you are much more willing, you're much more likely to look into it. You're going to be like, okay, are these teachers good? Or are they actually going to teach my kids? Are they actually going to do a good job? All this shit. But when you delegate it to the government, a lot of people just assume, okay, it's their job now. They're supposed to be raising my kids. It's government mandatory for them to do it, so I'll let them do it. But when you take it out of your own hands, then you're going to be left with your kids learning about trans and butt sex, and this fucking traditional, or what, discovery math. All these ridiculous fucking changes to the curriculum that are not beneficial to the kids. We don't need, they don't need to learn about, like I said, trans and butt sex and even sex ed per se. They don't need to learn from the teachers how to put a condom on. Like, that is not necessary, right? And it's not going to scar them not learning it. Their parents need to be held accountable. They need to be teaching their kids shit. And if they don't know about that stuff, then that is their parents' fault. It's not the school's fault. This is just an excuse, like I said, to institute some type of propaganda to, I don't know, manipulate your kids into being like little progressives or something, right? To vote for, the left because, trans are not mentally ill, and they have a right to do this, they have a right to this, and a right to this. So, if you grow up believing that, and then one party is always standing up for those rights and the other party isn't, you're going to be like, well, they're bad people. They don't believe in trans are humans, trans are not sick and are not mentally ill. Like, oh, I gotta kind of vote for these people because they're moral. These people are immoral. That's what I've been taught in school anyways. So it's like, yeah, I'm glad he took this away, because this is training kids to be little fucking progressives. And I hope that some politicians in other provinces start to do what Doug Ford is doing. And if he keeps doing this and starts doing a good job and even a better job, he has a chance to possibly run to be the prime minister and stuff. And I'm not even kidding. Like, if he does a good enough job and he does all this stuff and he keeps doing stuff like this, I would vote for him. I would promote him. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.